The views and opinions expressed in the following program are those of the hosts and guests, and not necessarily those of the staff or management of Worldwide Digital Broadcasting Corporation.
Welcome to your Health and Wellness Hour, sponsored by Luminosity Wellness Center here in Las Vegas, coming to you from the studios of Worldwide Digital Broadcasting. Our goal is to incite and ignite all your senses and curiosities. So sit back, relax, open your mind and your heart, and enjoy the show.
Welcome to the Health and Wellness Hour. My name is Abra McGrath. I'm sitting in for Christine Essex here at the Luminosity Wellness Center. And today we're speaking with our lovely guest, Shay Sisler. Shay is a certified hypnotherapist. She specializes in past life regression. And I'm super curious about this, Shay. Shay, if you want to tell us a little bit about yourself and let us know what got you into this.
Okay, great. Well, thank you. Appreciate you letting me come here today. My journey kind of really started because my husband got sick. Well, it really started long before that, actually. I grew up in Utah, large family, and when I was 16, my grandfather passed away, and my grandmother gave me a book it's called Life Everlasting. So it really got me curious about the afterlife, why we come here, what's our purpose, and all of that. So from that, over the years, I just developed a interest in astral travel, and I read all kinds of different books. And through that, it just really kind of expands your mind from what you're used to, or at least in my world and living in Utah. And then my little niece got sick. She would only live for about a month, but I would go to the hospital and I would sit there and I would just rub her little back, and the doctors would come in and they would just say, whatever you're doing, just continue to do that, because her vital signs would always improve. Oh. So at that time, because of all of the, books I had been reading, I felt like there was something to do with the energy, but I didn't know how to harness that or what it, how it was used. So I actually went to a couple of psychic workshops to try to see how to do that. And I thought, this isn't for me. I just can't seem to figure it out. I don't feel the energy. I don't know. And so you put it on the back burner for a little while. And then in 2008, when the economy tanked, my husband and I lost our house along with everybody else.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, and it really kind of starts making you reevaluate life and where you are in life and what's happening. And we, lost our house, moved in with my sister, and I started doing a lot of really soul searching. And I came across Dolores Cannon at that time, which is the hypnotherapy that I do. And it's quantum healing hypnosis technique is what it is. But back then, when I first found her, I just assumed that she talked about aliens and different things like that. I didn't realize she actually taught the process. So I kind of put her on the back burner too. And then, my husband had a stroke and all of that. And then in 2014-15, he got lung cancer. And that's what really led me to really start searching, because I knew that we have that ability to be able to heal ourselves, but I didn't know how to tap into that. And while I was living with my sister, at one point I had said to her, I says, I really just, if I had the perfect job, I would be out there just helping people, connecting soul to soul, helping. And I'll kind of tell you how the universe works here in a second. But
you ask and you shall
receive. Yeah, exactly. Because I never expected in a million years that my world would really evolve into that, because I had said to her too, I says, gosh, how could I ever create that kind of a job without going back to school for many years? And just wasn't going to happen at that point. And then when my husband got lung cancer, I really started digging in and trying to find different things. And of course, I came across Dolores Cannon again and realized that she actually taught people how to heal and how to do her method. So I started looking into what it would take to do that. And of course, my husband and I were still living with my sister and didn't have a whole lot of money. And, I'm talking to my cousin, and my cousin had handed me a bag or an envelope one night, And I says, what's this? And she says, just take it because you might need it. And I said, if this is money, I don't want your money. And she says, no, I want you to take it because, you never know. So I said, well, I'm going to take it and I'm going to throw it in a drawer. And so I did. I just kind of threw it in a drawer for, about 6 months. And then 6 months later, I'm thinking about, I found Dolores Cannon. I found out her school, how much it costs to get that. And I'm like, there's just no way I can afford to do this. So I thought, I remember that money that my cousin had given me, or that envelope. So I went and I opened the envelope, and it was the exact amount of money that I needed.
Amazing. Of course it was.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. So I was just creating my life and just designing my life, and here it is. I'm like, I took the training, and then of course you have to get people to practice on, and the first few that I did, you don't quite get the results that you're looking for, but you continue on. It's just like anything new that you do. And I tried to do a session on my husband because that was ultimately the reason I was getting in there to do it. And so I said, well, babe, just let me practice on you. Just let me go through the motions. And so, of course, he lay down, and I'm taking him through the QHHT session. And then you take him through past lives. And so I took him to the first one, and I'm asking him to describe what he sees, and he's telling me that he saw this black car, and I asked him to look in the back seat and tell me what you see in the back, and he saw a suitcase, and had him open up the suitcase, and inside he said there were 3 other suits, so he was like a traveling salesman. And
oh wow.
So then I took him to his house, and we talked about his children and his wife, and then we moved him to a next event, and his daughter was getting married, and he had tears rolling out of his eyes. And I thought, well, he's just thinking about his daughter because he has a daughter. And I thought, I wasn't even really thinking anything of it. I think he's just going through the motions. And so then I counted him out. And then when we were walking away, he's like, well, aren't you going to ask me where I was? I said, oh my gosh, you really were somewhere? You really, you really saw a past life? Yeah, it just kind of blew me away because I'm like, wow, this is really intense.
Well, and he thought it was a bunch of woo-woo, right?
Yeah, yeah. And he still kind of struggles with it. But I tell you what, he is opening up. Like, it's amazing to see him evolve, too, through my work and the people and the sessions that I do. And, I post some of my sessions on my website.
Oh,
so he gets to hear some of them sometimes. And so his mind is expanding a lot. I still talk about aliens and different things, and he just kind of like, okay, well, I don't know. But,
only in small doses.
Right. I just have to kind
steps.
of little baby step feeding him up, feeding him stuff. But once I got into it, though, I just found that I absolutely love it. And it is amazing work. And Dolores Cannon started this probably about 45, 50 years ago. Of course, she passed away.
45 years ago.
Yeah.
I didn't realize how long it's been.
Before it was even popular, you know what I mean? Before hypnosis was even there. And she kind of honed in on a different technique than normal hypnosis therapy.
So tell us about that. Is that the QHHT? So what does that stand for?
It's quantum healing hypnosis therapy.
Okay.
And actually she started out in regressions, but through the regressions she found that people were having miraculous healing. So that's why now it's more developed into the quantum healing hypnosis technique for healing instead of just past life regression.
So let's take this down, like even go to, say our listeners don't even know what regression is. What is a past life regression?
Okay, well, and a past life regression is what we do in the quantum healing world is a little bit different than what they do now in some of the other regressions, but they take them back to another lifetime.
Okay.
When in the QHHT, what we do is we have the person go to the most appropriate time and place. Now, most of the time that ends up being a past life, but sometimes it actually is this life.
Oh, okay.
So it depends on where.
So it could be like a traumatic experience. It could be anything, just somewhere that they need to focus on.
Yeah, wherever your higher consciousness takes you, that's what you need and you need to explore. And
a diagnostic.
Yeah.
Like you need to maintenance this part of your psyche.
Yeah. There's something there that we need to examine.
Oh.
So, and, growing up in Utah, not a lot of people believe in past life. So I always tell everybody, just look at it as a metaphor, because there's information in the situation that you need to look at and examine.
Well, and do you, and are we also carrying stuff in our like DNA from our
Absolutely.
ancestors past? Like maybe even it's not our trauma.
Right.
Maybe it's something that's in our family tree or something. Is that something that you look at?
Yes, definitely. And we carry it in our cell. We have cell memory, and it follows us through lifetime after lifetime after lifetime.
And it ends up becoming part of our identity when it may not even be ours.
Right.
Interesting.
Exactly. Yeah, it's really fascinating. And just to give it a really example of someone who did come for a session, he in this life was feeling very sad.
Okay.
And he didn't know where this sadness was coming from. And he says, I feel like I've been sad my whole life.
Oh, wow.
And, how can you say you're sad when you're 3,
Yeah,
4?
right.
Where does all that sadness come from? And so when we did a past life regression on him, he went back to a lifetime when he was an Aborigines Indian back in the jungles. And he lived in a hut that they had built in the trees. And one day his wife went out to collect food and never returned.
Oh my gosh.
And so he was so sad, and he just wanted to hang in that lifetime and look for her. And then some people were coming from the north that were coming to make them slaves, and they were kidnapping people. And so he said, I have to leave, and he said, but I don't want to leave because what if my wife comes back?
Unresolved, yeah.
Yeah, and so he was torn. And so the good thing about hypnosis is you get a scrunch time. So you don't have to, go through the whole, what are you, making this decision for the next hour. So, I moved him to the time when he's making a decision. I said, so what did you decide to do? And he says, well, we're leaving. So they went down, they went to another community, and they stayed with them their life. And so he ended up dying there. And then what we do in the past life is we take him through the death scene. And you can actually tell them, you don't have to experience the death, just let's go through it. There's always things that, you can look at. When they get on the other side of the death scene, then you have them look back at that life and try to see what was the purpose of that life. Why did you pick that life? And then you take him onto the light. We try to get everybody to go to the light. Well, his soul never went to the light. Because his soul is continuing to learn, to look for her.
Right.
And so he's had many lifetimes looking for her. So that's why he came into this life, just full of that sadness still from a previous life.
Wow.
So the good thing about QHHT is you explore those lives, and typically we take them through 3 different lives, and then we connect with their higher consciousness, which is their higher self. And we all have that part of us that knows all about all of us.
Nice.
And so then you're able to tap into that and ask questions. So when people come to see me, I send them an email, and in there it just describes what there's to do, and they're just to make a list of questions. One of the major questions that we always get is, what's my purpose? Why am I here? Why do I have this anxiety? Or why do I have this pain? Or why do I have this illness? There's always those types of questions. So then one of his questions was, where is the sadness coming from? So then when we tap into that higher consciousness, we're able to ask about the sadness. And then, of course, we found out that the sadness was from that lifetime. And he also was in his 40s, and he had never married in this life. And he wanted to know if he was going to meet somebody. That was another question he had.
Like, was this creating a roadblock?
Right.
Right.
Yeah. So, of course, the higher self told him that he could not find someone because he had been holding on to this memory, and it was just following him lifetime after lifetime. So his higher self told him that he had lived many lifetimes single because his soul was still searching for her.
Wow.
So being able to take him to the light, because that's the first thing I do, you send him to the light, and when they go to the light, the first thing I ask him is, so who's there meeting you? and he just started crying. And he says, she's here.
Oh, wow.
And I just got goosebumps just going
totally
through my
did.
bone. Yeah, yeah. So because he was able to connect with her back into the light, now he's able to move forward in his life now.
Wow.
So, of course, one of the questions we ask is, well, are you, is he going to be able to find someone in this life now? And they said, well, he can, but it's become a habit for him for so many lifetimes that now he's going to have to break the habit. But at least after the session, he had some guidance of why he's feeling the sadness, why he's not finding anybody. And then
open his mind to opportunity.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah. So now he'll be
There's
able to go
something.
out there and figure it out. So the quantum healing has become more, it's not so much anymore about the past lives, although the past lives we need to examine, before we can do the healing. But the healing really is the most profound thing, because we do carry that in our DNA and our cell memory from past lives. And I had another one, a gentleman come in who was full of anger. He didn't know where the anger was coming from. So what happened with him was he was an Indian when the white men were just first coming to the Americas, and they had come in and destroyed his family. And
oh my gosh.
he was so filled with anger from that. He was in battle, and he was just going out to destroy them all. And so he got killed during that battle. And when you die with that anger in you, you carry that with you.
Oh, whoa.
That's why in this life we tell people we need to release that and not carry those anger, that anger with you. And
So it resonates on a cellular level.
yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, because it follows you. So you need to resolve that in this life before you move on.
Holy cow.
So, yeah, but it's amazing work, and it's just so exciting to be doing it, and I absolutely love it, and I really want to pursue it, because I just think that there's so many people out there that are hurting and that are just struggling, in life, and they don't know why in a lot of cases.
Why.
Yeah.
Wow.
So, yeah. And we're having a group regression here on Saturday, and I'm actually going to be doing those a couple times a month, just because I think a lot of people struggle with visualizing and they don't understand the process. So the group regressions allow people to come in and see how it works, how the quantum healing process works, and understand that before you spend the money, because a quantum healing hypnosis session is anywhere from 3 to 5 hours. Because typically what happens is you come in and we'll sit down and we'll talk for a good hour and a half, depending on how much you need to share. And that's client specific, so you can never really gauge that. Some people come in, like the last session I did just Sunday, the lady who came in just really had a lot on her mind, and she just needed to release. And sometimes just talking with someone who's, neutral is more therapy than anything. But we had a 3-hour conversation. Now, typically they're not that long.
Wow. Yeah.
But sometimes if that's what it takes, then that's what I need to be there for. I want to be there
Right.
for them, whatever that takes. So then when you have that, the conversation, then I go over the list of questions. Now, some people will bring 5 questions, and other people will bring 50 questions.
Oh, okay.
So depending on how many questions you
Yeah.
go over, you have to go through each one and kind of get clarification on them. Why are you asking this? Because when you're in the trance state, then I want to be able to dig down and answer or ask questions that really get the answers for you. Because all I am is the guide to lead you through, but you're the one that's actually answering all your own questions.
Wow.
So, and then the trance state typically takes anywhere from an hour to 2 hours, depending on how many questions and how much information we have. And then there are some clients who just talk, and they're very visual, and they see and they, understand, the process a little bit more than others, where sometimes other people, I'll ask them a question and it's a 1-word answer. And it's like pulling teeth, getting any information, out
While
of
they're
them
in trance?
while they're in trance.
Wow.
And sometimes they're very quiet, and it's very hard for me to hear.
Oh.
So I have started recording
okay.
recently, and so I have put a few of those on my website, where people can kind of hear little snippets. I am going to start putting the whole session on there, but sometimes they're an hour and a half long, and that's a little bit long for people to really sit down and
attention
listen.
Span wise.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah, but I have made some little short ones just so people can get kind of an idea of what some of those conversations look like when you're in trance. What am I asking? What am I digging for?
Wow.
So, yeah.
Awesome. I believe we're going to take a little bit of a break and hear from our sponsors here at Luminosity Center. We're sitting with Shay Sisler. Thank you. Hello, my name is Abram McGrath, and you're listening to the Health and Wellness Hour here at WWDBTV.com. We are located at the Luminosity Wellness Center here in North Las Vegas, and we're speaking with Shay Sisler. She's a certified hypnotherapist specializing in past life regression. She also touches on a little bit of Reiki healing, and she's been speaking to us about QHHT. Can you tell us again for the listeners what that means and what that's all about?
Sure. Yeah, it's quantum healing hypnosis technique, and it's a technique of hypnosis that Dolores Cannon developed about 50 years ago. And basically, it's kind of progressed from hypnosis to healing. So it's more about the healing now than it ever was about the past life. Although in past life, we want to make sure that we clear up that. We talked about it earlier, our DNA and our cell memory. We're still carrying a lot of that stuff from, our past lives. And
you just got back from Florida, you said, and did an attachment release program?
Yes. And that healing, that technique is the introspective healing hypnosis technique. And that deals with entities. So because we do have, some people have dark energy that's attached to them. Now, quantum healing hypnosis therapy, they don't...
Right, it's separate.
They don't deal with dark energies. They don't believe in the dark energies.
Everything's light.
Yeah, it's all about the light. It's all about going to the light. Yeah, so anybody calling me for QHHT, they're going to get a QHHT session. But if somebody thought they had a attachment or something like that, then we would not call it QHHT. We would just call it hypnosis, therapy, and we would work on that in the introspective. Plus, they have different hypnosis in the hypnotherapy session that I'm doing that you can do, like weight loss. Yeah, smoking.
Learn how to quit smoking.
Yeah, and different things like that. So QHHT is a little bit different. It's anywhere 5 hours, where these other types are probably a little shorter, hour and a half to 2 hours maybe, to go through those types.
To help release, learn release techniques and stuff. Yeah. That's interesting. You say you've had a big corporate background. How do you feel that your corporate, you said leadership? You're a leadership trainer, right?
I'm a leadership trainer, yes.
How do you feel this is actually projected you into this amazing spiritual awakening you've been talking about?
It's really funny because I've been at my job for 25 years and I absolutely love training. I do. So I'm sure down the road I'm going to incorporate some kind of training as I go.
Once you hone in your skills
because I love that. Yeah. But what happened is probably about 4 years ago, I remember going into one of my classes one day and I'm walking in there and I'm just feeling so empty. You're like, where is this feeling coming from? And
at work?
Yeah. And I'm feeling like I love my job and why do I feel like I'm not doing what I'm supposed to be doing? I really couldn't hone in on the feelings I was feeling, but I felt like there had to be more out there. And I just didn't know what or where or what. And it's like one thing just led to another. And then, like I said, my background when my husband got sick, that really kind of started focusing in. And so
all these leadership skills you learned from that corporate job, though. I mean, how cool, because it's going to take you into such a further avenue of... Right. It's like you've been training this whole time.
I have been. And, it's really funny you would say that because as I'm learning the holistic healing and different things in the corporate world, you can't really start talking about metaphysical kind of stuff. And so I'm thinking, but I need to get my message out there. And so in class, it would be really funny because I would start talking about certain things and I would drop little hints. And I would just say different things about loving one another and, you know, and just being good and finding your passion.
Or the universe.
Yeah, I just drop little things like that. And so then it was so amazing after I started doing that, after class, certain people would tap into that.
Wow.
And then they would come up and they would start talking to you and asking, well, what is it you know that you do? And then one of the fun things that I love to do, because I think we all need to find our passion, and this is my passion, but I think we need to live our passion.
Oh, for sure.
And so in my classes, I started incorporating as an icebreaker in the beginning, you know, introduce yourself, and then what is your passion? What do you do when you're not at work? You know, because I want to help people find that passion.
Well, and help them grow and not just do what they're told. You want them to remember who they are, not forget that. That's like an easy thing to do in those types of industries.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So
I was able to kind of incorporate a little bit of what I was doing into that. So every once in a while, you know, of course I have to introduce myself. And so then I would tell people, you know, I'm a hypnotherapist. And I said, don't worry, I'm not going to hypnotize you today. You know, so I got a good laugh out of it.
Yeah.
And so then people would come up after and want to know, what are you doing? What, you know, what is that all about?
What is this more, and that fulfillment that you're finding?
Yeah. And it's so amazing because I get out there and I talk to so many people every day and I tell them what I'm doing. Well, fortunately, I'm able to, you know, and this is another talk about the universe and making things happen. I kept saying, you know, I really want to pursue this and do this full time, but I have to have money coming in. I can't just quit and do this and, you know, unless you have that clientele built up. Well, my company in December offered a early retirement.
Oh my gosh.
I know. And I'm like, wow. And I even told my husband, I said, you know what? They could never offer me enough to take early retirement, because you figure 6 months pay. Well, you know, 6 months really isn't a long time. Well, then when it ended up being 60 weeks of pay, that's over a year.
Wow.
I thought, wow, this is my sign from the universe that, hey,
knock, knock, hey.
Knock, knock. Yeah. You need to take this opportunity. So I went home that night, of course, because I'm thinking, what's my husband going to think, you know? And because I got to think about him, too, because he's still sick. And
these are the worlds we built.
Yeah. So I go home to him, and I'm talking, and he's like, Shay, you need to do this.
Aww.
So, I mean, how could I not, you know?
Right.
But, you know, you're kind of torn, because it's like scary in one hand, but it's like, I know the universe is opening this up to me, and I need to take this opportunity, and I need to follow that and just trust that and believe that. And so that's where I'm headed. So I am retiring at the end of this month from the corporate world. So
congratulations.
Yeah. So I'm going to take off running, you know, because I am going to start doing my own training classes and teaching some of those skills and just brand myself and market myself and tap into the groups that I think that are really going to benefit from some of the
and
stuff
this
I know.
knowledge is just so valuable. You can't help but share it.
Right.
So great. So if we can go more into, what does a session even look like? Like, I've never done it before. I'm super intrigued, especially after talking to you and meeting you, you know, and how do you help people get over whatever stigma they have? I mean, I think that's one of the biggest problems in holistic healthcare to begin with, is people just have preconceived notions. Right. You know, maybe they saw a movie, maybe, you know, Aunt Flo was doing it. I don't know.
Right.
But like, somebody in the family gave them some idea, or they got it from somewhere that, and so how can we paint the picture for our listeners of what an actual session looks like?
Okay. So typically what happens, first of all, somebody will email me or call me. So I'll have a slight conversation on the phone.
So you have people already seeking.
Right.
Okay.
So, and typically that's the clientele I work with. So you know that they're already somewhat familiar with, you know, metaphysical stuff.
Okay.
You know? But I like to see where they are. What's their religious beliefs? What's their religious backgrounds? Because I kind of need that as a basis to go by. Because if somebody doesn't believe in God, then you're not going to have those conversations. If somebody doesn't believe in,
Well, yeah, you got to know your approach, your audience.
Yeah.
Right.
So I have that conversation first, and then I email them stuff. Then they come to see me. And then the first thing that I like to do is I like to demystify what hypnosis is.
Demystify.
Yes.
Love it. There we are. Demystify those preconceived ideas.
Yeah.
All right.
Because, nobody wants to get up there and start clucking like a chicken. So so you have to kind of let them know.
We talked about the carnival hypnotherapist, right?
Right. Yeah. And people have a fear when, even now you tell them you're a hypnotist and they're like, they freak out. They're like, so like it's an evil word or something. But, we're changing that misconception too of what that is out there. But basically hypnosis, we're all hypnotized every day. When you sit in front of a TV, you're under hypnosis.
You're getting programmed.
Yes, you're getting programmed. When you drive in your car, and I know we've all driven to work, and you're like, oh, how did I get there? I don't even remember passing the 7-Eleven today.
Right.
You know what I mean? So, and then when you go to sleep and you wake up every day, twice a day, you pass that theta state of hypnosis. So we're always in some kind of state of hypnosis.
So like your binaural beats, like your brain waves, the theta states. Okay.
Yeah. So we want to be in the theta state when we do our sessions.
Okay.
But we all have that conscious mind too. And I like to talk to people about that because we're left brain, right brain. And when you're in the right brain, that's where we want to be, because that's where the pictures are and the images that we want to explore. That's where our imagination is and where we work from. But when you jump over to the left brain, you're in that analytical brain, and you start analyzing things, then you flip out of hypnosis. So when I have people in there, I explain the right brain, left brain thing to them, and I said, don't start analyzing it, because when you start analyzing your session, well, I'm not in hypnosis. Well, am I in hypnosis or am I not? When you do that, then you're pulling yourself.
Mind. Yeah.
Yeah, then you're pulling yourself out. So you just need to kind of relax and go with the flow.
And trust.
Yeah, and just trust in the process. And then you just go with whatever, wherever we're guided to go. Do
people have a hard time getting there? Do some
people
people are super left-brained.
Yeah, super. And I try to do a lot more guided meditation with them to get them to do it. And I can tell when they're in a certain level or not. And if I need to do more meditation, then I'm able to do that with them to get them to relax.
Oh, okay.
There are those people who just are not, but I think sometimes people come into the session too not really knowing what it is. So then they get a little scared. And then they're like, I don't know what to expect. So they're always in that analytical mind. What's she doing? What's she saying? And so once they go through
Am I doing this right?
Yeah.
There you go.
So I think that's what the group regressions are going to be really good for.
Okay.
Because then you'll be able to demystify that, just let them know, hey, this is what we do. You're just going to, do some imagery. Some people don't know how to do imagery either.
Okay.
So we go through some imagery exercises. Like, I have them shut their eyes and relax and then just visualize a red bird. And I've had people say, well, I don't see a red bird. Like, they think that the backs of their eyes are going to turn into a TV screen or something.
Especially now more than ever when we have them all in our face all the time, right?
Right. Yeah. So I says, no, you're just using your imagination. Have you seen a red bird? And you have people say, well, I've never seen a red bird. So how do you imagine that? So then you just say, well, just imagine a green tree. And what does a green tree look like? So you're just using your imagination is all that you're doing. And then you're just relaxing into the process. And then, of course, we protect everybody with white light to make sure that, we have that protection as we go through. And then we always ask the higher consciousness to take us to the most appropriate time and place. Because I don't know what's appropriate for you or what's the best place for you to go. So I'm not going to guide you to go anywhere. You're going to decide. Your higher consciousness is going to take you where that needs to be. And then we will examine whatever it is that you're seeing. And we'll look around. We usually take you, like when I take you to a past life, then we'll take you to different events in that life, like move forward to the next event. Like I had one lady who was part of the council, the 12 Council of 12, and so yeah, and so she went to that spaceship and she met with the council and they were deciding, and she didn't think she belonged, and it's so amazing. And I have to tell you, 4 years ago, I did not believe in extraterrestrial or ETs
when you
or
first
aliens.
were getting into
Yeah,
all
when I
of
first-
this, you
I
had no idea what you were going to learn, right?
No, and I mean, you know, you always think, well, it's a possibility,
Right.
you know, but
You can't be the only rock that works in all these universes.
Exactly. But I had gone to a meditation group because I'm trying to learn to meditate myself.
Right.
And I walked in and the girl said, yeah, I'm a starred seed from planet wherever. And I thought, oh, wow.
no.
This is real woo-woo. And I remember I went home to my husband and I said, babe, I just don't think I'm ready for that yet. I don't think I'm there. And then when I started getting into Dolores Cannon's work and I read all of her books, she has like 19 books.
Whoa.
And then when I actually started having sessions and people are actually going to spaceships and they're meeting their space families.
And they hadn't probably any knowledge of this in their current state, right?
Yeah, and in fact,
whoa.
on my website, one of the ladies met her alien family, and they just came here to give her the message to tell her she's okay, and she came here to help raise the vibration and the light. And that's what a lot of us have done. I've kind of always felt known I was here for a purpose, but I never really knew why. But after I've read and kind of gone through this whole process over the last 4 years, then I see that most all of us that are here right now chose to be here at this time to help raise the vibration of Earth, to help save Earth.
Wow.
And to help, us, make sure that this planet sticks around for a long time.
And to have amazing purpose like that. I mean, you become probably a little unstoppable that way, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And I have had sessions where they've told me that you're a healer and you need to get out there and pursue that. And it kind of shocks you sometimes when you're like, they don't know me from Adam. And
right.
Yeah. There's some other really great messages that I've been given. I don't know how much time we have, but
let's do it.
Well, because my husband is sick, and I have a really hard time meditating and getting to that trance state. But I
was going to ask you if you had done your own.
I have tried 3 times, and I don't know that I want to be telling everybody that, but I went to Arizona.
Some of us are only, facilitators.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe you're the conduit, and that's what your purpose. I mean, not maybe. This is showing you what you are right now.
Yeah, and I have been to some really great practitioners that have phenomenal sessions, and I think I'm just very analytical. I want to know what's going on, and so I have a hard time, letting that go. But I did. Want to ask, because we're all connected, we're all one,
right? So
your higher self is part of my higher self, so I'm able to ask questions through you for me. So if it's someone that I know, like friend or somebody, and then they'll say, well, you can go ahead and ask your questions. Yeah. So then I'll be able to ask questions. Well, I had this one lady come in, and I had just met her this first time. I'd never met her before, and she said, well, if you want to ask questions, you can. And so I debate whether to do that when it's somebody I don't know, because they're paying me, and I want to make sure it's their time. And then the message came to me that, it's like, we have a message for you too. And I was like shocked, because I'm like, whoa, I wasn't asking for it. And it came through. And so they gave me a message. Well, then I asked a couple of other questions, and one of the questions was, I asked, how can I help my husband? Because he doesn't really believe in this. And of course, I want to do everything. And I was given the message that this is his path, and I need to allow him to be on his path. I just need to love him and just be there for him, which really gave me comfort.
Yeah,
because,
a lot of relief.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I was able to do that, Plus they said there is one other thing. You need to declutter your house.
Oh.
And let me tell you, my house is not cluttered. When you walk in, you don't see it. But if you open the closets or the garage, then you see it.
Stuff that may be weighing you down.
Yes. But I'm like,
memories, sentimental,
but
something.
This person doesn't know me from Adam, so that message just kind of blew me away. So I have been trying to declutter my house. So
that's awesome. That's really great.
So it's been really interesting.
So tell us a little bit about your up and coming events.
Okay, so I am doing the QHHT group regressions at the Luminosity Wellness Center. I'm doing the Saturday event to see what the turnout is like on Saturdays from 1 to 4 this Saturday on the 11th. I'm also doing it on March 29th. We'll be doing that one from 6 to 9. And so hope to see everybody there.
And is there a minimum age? do you think,
Typically,
do you recommend?
Typically under 16, we don't like it unless the parent is here.
Okay.
You know, so if the parent comes here, I don't see there would be an issue there.
Okay.
But yeah, but it's a way to really introduce yourself to the process without actually going through a whole session. We do take you through 3 past lives. Well, when we do a past life, we do meeting your spirit guide, and then we do a future life.
Oh, nice.
So yeah, and then we just go through we talk a little bit about what QHHT is, and then how to visualize, and then that's kind of pretty much wrapping up the session. And then it's a little bit different too, because after we do the visualization, we stop and they write it down. So it's not like we have a one-on-one conversation. They write it down, and then anybody who wants to share what they saw, then that's how we do the group regressions. So
sounds like a lot of fun. I can't wait. I'm really excited to do it. So once again, we're speaking with Shay Sisler, and you want to tell us too how people can get a hold of you, maybe a website as well?
Yeah, you can go to my website, shaysisler.com. It's SHAY. Sisler is SISLER. And then my phone number is in Las Vegas area, 702-610-5176. And you can get more information there. Thank you.
Thanks again, and we'll catch you next week at the Health and Wellness Hour here at the Luminosity Center, brought to you by WWDBTV. Thank you. Have a great day.
Thank you.